Hello everyone and welcome to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. Our main stories today will indeed be previews and predictions for WWE's Payback show coming up this weekend and more of the fallout from AEW All In, but we have plenty more to add to this. We are talking an update on the year of Judgment Day, Dakota Kai's approach to being cleared, the disruption to the New Day and the injuries that they've received, Drew McIntyre's position further down the card than certainly even he was expecting, LA Knight and the swap to the card to make sure he gets onto it, the breakdown of the LWO and the current position for Kairi Sane. So plenty to be diving into, but as usual I'll start off with a big thank you to everyone who's already joined us. We see Carnage 12, Daz Reynolds, Ed says hey Mr. Colohue, any big spoilers to drop today? Brad Becker says hey Tom and everyone else, ready for spoiler warning. Matthew Johnson says evening Tom and chat, happy Friday. FDL says hello. What's new with Colohue? What do you want to talk about? Yeah, and if you're not done with that, I've got 2 words for you. Spoiler warning, which is a whole heap of words. Also loving the shave, thank you, appreciate that. Colton Gunn says hi, how are you? Doing well, Colton, welcome to the show. Also on the Twitch side, Bailey says hello Tom. Hello Bailey. Spiderboss says it's been quite funny how the Wrestling Observer and Fightful have come with different versions of the CM Punk vs Jack Perry brawl at All In. I would also add PWTorch to that particular collection. Says, do you see Finn Balor and Damian Priest winning the tag team titles at Payback? I may have talked myself into that. Ed says, always a Punk issue at something all, etc. Either All In or All Out. Well, he's all something. Spiderboss says, who do you think will be Soraya's first opponent for the AEW Women's title? More on that shortly. Michael says, hi Tom. Hello, Michael. Spiderboss says, about the bloodline in the match card, the only thing clear is Ria Ripley will retain. And Stuart says, evening all. Hello to everyone and welcome. So first question, as you guys know I ask questions now, it's the thing. Who's excited for Payback? Payback is landing right in the middle of a very busy time for wrestling. A lot happened in the last few weeks. Most notably, of course, the death of Bray Wyatt, but we also had All In, and we're about to have All Out in direct competition to Payback, and that's before you factor in, of course, Collision, which is in direct competition to basically everything that the WWE does. So who's excited for a show that currently features 6 matches? Now, this is very clearly a Triple H card on the basis that it features 6 matches, and that's not exactly many, very typical of Triple H to book so few. But I'm going to run down the entire card and talk through my predictions, as well as adding a few spoilers to this show. So, spoiler warning, if you don't want to know anything about Payback before it happens, this may not be the show for you. Few people are excited. We've got Ken says, is there anyone going to Impact Wrestling Turning Point in the UK? Personally, I am not, but if anyone is, let us know. Daniela says, good evening. Hello, Daniela. And Khalid says, hey, Tom, mate. Thank you very kindly. Hello, Khalid. Ed is not excited for Payback. Khalid is. Sean is. Brad is. Vegeta says, hi, Tom. Hello, Vegeta. Colin says, who do you see taking the belt from Ria? I say Liv. I'm really not sure, but I don't necessarily think we're going to see her lose the championship to Becky Lynch. Daz says, Tom, what do you think Cena will have a match weekend on the next pay-per-view? More on that very shortly. That'll be part of the Payback stuff. Welcome, Peter, or Peter should say, Mr. Leeds, celebrating a 9th month of channel membership. Thank you kindly. Sean, thank you for joining us. I just wanted to jump in and say, Tom, I appreciate you. Hope you're well and Build to Payback is really good on Monday. I appreciate that, Sean. There will be, we've already recorded Nick and Tom's earlier today for you that hopefully you'll enjoy. Myself and Nick do have more plans for this channel, so be sure to keep an ear to the ground on that one. Razar says, I'm somewhat excited. Would have loved to see an EO title defense instead of the pointless talk show segment with Cody. Marcel says, hi Tom, welcome. Sai says, hi all. Payback reminds me of the single brand pay-per-views, not the strongest. Shinsuke is a favourite though, so I'm in. King Arthur says, it's a throwaway show in my opinion. Bailey says, LA Knight continues to get more attention. There is a Twitter excerpt from a television weather presenter in tonight's SmackDown City. He opens the segment with, you guessed it, let me talk to you. Spider-Boss says, the longer Rhea keeps the title, the more fans will want to see her lose a title, just as it happens with Roman. Zane is excited for Impact. Noob says, hello, Mr. Colohue. How are you doing today? Doing very well, thank you, Noob. Thank you for joining us. And Raymond says, looking forward to Rollins. Nakamura has the potential to be a banger. That I wholeheartedly agree with. Pete says, I've heard a rumour that... Okay, pausing there. Can you source the rumour for me, please, Pete? When it comes to stuff like that, I like to have the source so I can see whether or not I personally believe the rumour. So just lay out the source for me and I will keep reading. So let's start by talking Payback. The big question, of course, is what's going to main event. The WWE have been building Becky versus Trish as main event worthy. Personally, I think that's more likely to open the show now, with Seth Rollins being the main event. So let's start there with Becky versus Trish. This feud has gone on way too much. The WWE is focused on ensuring that Zoe Stark is the big winner at the end of it, and I've got to say, after Monday, I do think she is going to be. That said, Trish Stratus is already teasing feuding with a number of other people, particularly even as recently as last week, Ria Ripley. I don't necessarily see that one happening. I think we're more likely to see Trish Stratus take on Raquel Rodriguez and or Liv Morgan next if she sticks around. I would see Trish and Zoe taking on both Liv and Raquel personally, with Becky moving on to Shayna Baszler and forward from there to Ria Ripley. I see Becky winning this one. I don't think that really surprises anyone. The feud has gone on for 9 months. It needs to end now. Who do you have? Becky Lynch or Trish Stratus? Let me know in the chat right now. Kelly says, Tom, did you have fun at AEW? I did. Glad to hear you did. And yeah, I really did. I thought it was a fantastic show. Samoa Joe versus Punk was a lot of fun. Chris Jericho versus Ospreay was amazing. And the main event scene, MJF Adam Cole. I get why Adam Cole left. I get it. Michael says, Dennis Rodman appearing on Collision tomorrow. Yay, I guess. That ties him way too close to WCW. Bad times. Spider-Boss says, with the lack of credible opponents for Rhea Ripley, how do you build someone to be the one who takes the title from Rhea? Primarily by having them beat up Becky. Becky's kind of there for that. Bailey's pick is Becky. We have quite a few that agree. King Azza says, will Jimmy Uso be on SmackDown? If so, will Roman be there? Jimmy Uso is expected to be here. Roman Reigns, I don't believe so, no. Brad says Becky. Razar says Becky as well. Matthew says Bex. Pete says Daily DDT is the source. Interesting, because I used to work for Daily DDT and they are not allowed to report news. They don't have the insurance for it. That's why I never did for them. I bent over backwards in order to avoid reporting news. I remember reporting about the 24/7 championship before it went live. They announced that it was going to be presented on a Raw. They announced it on the pay-per-view, and immediately in that pay-per-view, I wrote up a report for Daily DDT saying, oh, wouldn't it be great if it was a 24/7 championship? Yeah. Marcel says Becky. Daniela says, what do you think is happening with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn? The tag division needs them. The tag division does need them. The tag division also needs time, and it's not being given that. Daz has Becky as well. Ken says, I went crazy when I heard Jordan Grace is returning to Impact Wrestling at Victory Road. Raymond says, Becky, a no-brainer. King Azza says, Becky ends this boring feud. Khalid says, a man Becky Lynch will win. Squid says, I hope Trish sticks around. Seems to be a lot better on the mic than I remember as a teenager, although I was the teenager, so I might have been distracted. They did intentionally present her in a way that meant the people were distracted. And Spider-Ball says, payback pick, the man Becky Lynch. Then he says, did you see the buy-in at All In live? Yes, I did. Pete, you don't need to hang your head in shame, mate. No. This is why I ask people to bring the source, so that I can say my experience with that source. It's a lesson. It's an opportunity to know who's trustworthy and who isn't. Also, I don't doubt that they did report that. I'm just saying that if they did, they probably shouldn't have. Noob says, I get Becky winning to end this feud. Steve says, odds that JD McDonough ruins a tag title match tomorrow. I'll get to that. High, I'd say. Spider-Boss says, since WWE doesn't care so much about the women's tag team titles, why don't WWE get rid? Because if they did that, women would have a lot less to fight for, and that would definitely affect what they're trying to do. Next up, let's talk Owens, I think Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest in a street fight. This does mean tornado tag, and it means that all members of the Judgment Day, past, present, and future, have the potential to get involved here. Now, personally, I originally thought that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were going to be holding on, as the Street Profits are essentially developed into a position where they could pick up the win against them. I talked myself out of this earlier, primarily because it'll take the Street Profits a while to get there. The WWE Universe, as it were, is not of a mind to boo them. I do think WrestleMania is going to be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens defending the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against the Street Profits, but I don't think we're there yet. I personally do think that it will be a title change, Finn Balor and Damian Priest picking up the win and losing the championship a little further down the line, back to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Who do you have picking up the win here? Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens? Or Judgment Day? Spider-Boss thinks Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn retain. Khalid also has Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Wiggly is here, saying yo 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 yo. Welcome, mate. How you doing? Daz has Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn returning. Will says, if WWE bringing in Kairi Sane, do you know if it's their way to reboot the women's division? There is no intention of rebooting the women's division. The WWE believe that they have a very good women's division and will continue to build on it. There will be no reboot. King Al says, Judgment Day, I see winning. Brad Becker says, totally Judgment Day for the win. Ed says, the Profits showed up in NXT this week, so I might be headed there once or twice first, so Judgment Day for me. One of the reasons I was talking myself into it. Good spot. Razar says, John Cena is scheduled for a lot of SmackDown dates. Is he going to appear on TV every week? More on that shortly. Matthew Johnson also says Judgment Day. Razar thinks KO and Sami retain. Steve says, wasn't there a tag title match announced for the Superstar Spectacle next week, or was that a non-title match listed? I believe it's a tag team match, but I don't necessarily think it's for the championship. It's Indus Sher. It's Indus Sher. Oh no, it is a championship match. Thinking back, it is a championship match. Yes. Raymond says Sami and Kevin win due to interference from JD. Interference from JD would not necessarily mean a disqualification, as it's a street fight. Noob says KO and Sami are winning, maybe a feud between the Street Profits. Vegeta, I don't know why you're laughing at that. People are entitled to their questions. Spider-Boss says, with the tensions between Finn and Damian Priest, I think Damian Priest may get kicked out from the Judgment Day. Bear with me on this one. As people are asking about John Cena, let's talk about John Cena. The rumours that John Cena is expected to be at Payback are true, though I can't at this point work out exactly what he's going to be doing. From what I can tell, he may be involved with Grayson Waller and Cody Rhodes. That seems the most likely situation there. The intention with Cody Rhodes at the moment is to keep him in the public eye and keep attention on him. Grayson Waller, much the same, but from a very different position on the card. John Cena would fit in perfectly in that particular grouping, and that's where I see it working. Now, when it comes to John Cena, over the next 2 months or so, he will be appearing week in, week out, and to my knowledge, he's going to be having quite a few wrestling matches in his time. He is here back with the WWE to maintain fitness, so we are going to be seeing him wrestle every now and again, primarily with people lower down the card, and we'll also see him working with people such as LA Knight, who's on the way up. John Cena has essentially presented a list to Triple H of people that he wants to work with. Grayson Waller's on there, Cody's on there, as well as a number of others at both ends of the card. He will be a SmackDown superstar and will be primarily used on that side. Steve says, well, KO and Sami obviously win tomorrow and drop the belt to Indus Sher, right? Daniel Berry says, hi everyone, welcome mate. Dad says, what do you think of FTR, teaming with the Bucks against Bullet Club this All Out, Tom? It's a bit out of nowhere, kind of silly. They've just viewed it. King Azza says, do you see Cody facing John Cena at some point? It depends how much longer John Cena wrestles, but I do see that happening. Vegeta, once again, don't judge other people for their questions. They're entitled to their opinion. You may disagree, and you're entitled to that, but you can't judge people for it. Zane says, will we see Cody Rhodes versus John Cena? I believe we've just answered that one. Spider-Boss says, did the momentum of Dominic Mysterio freeze? Lately, Judgment Day is all about the tensions between Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Pushes are different. They work differently for different individuals. By and large, when it comes to a push, they push you hard and then they stop so that people don't get sick of you. That's what's happening with Dominic Mysterio right now. They don't want people to get too sick of him, so they're allowing him to fade into the background. They're focusing on a different member of Judgment Day, particularly Damian Priest at the moment. He faded into the background the last 6 months of last year as well. So there is sort of a back and forth when it comes to the pushes, as it were. Ed says, all of Dom's momentum is surrounding NXT. Yes, it is. A push in a different area, more of a background push. Joey says, hey Tom, SRS reported AOP was secretly signed to WWE. Did you hear anything on this? Yes, quite a lot. I reported over a year ago that contact had started between Triple H and AOP, and I did report around WrestleMania time that contact seemed to end. As regards being secretly signed, I'm confused by the prospect of secretly signing someone that they don't use. What's the point of paying someone who you never use? I'm very confused by this as a prospect. The hilarious thing is, when AOP debut, this report will get immense credit, even though there's no evidence that it's true. Having them debut doesn't mean that they've been there for months. It means that they're there. Certainly confirms my report that contact was happening, and I appreciate how Sean Ross Sapp has on several occasions confirmed my reporting recently. I do appreciate it. Sean says, hello Tom, how's your Friday night? Going good so far, mate. How you doing? Spider-Boss says, somehow I see Dragon Lee taking the NXT North American title from Dominic Mysterio. Wouldn't hate it. Jack Roman says, I heard a rumour they were thinking of Cena going heel or tweener. They would be wrong. Dane says, do you think CM Punk quit AEW? No, he wants his money first. Will says, with Roman on a break, it feels like a blessing for WWE to get Cena for this long. I think they'd have been just fine without Roman. They still have a number of top-level stars, though I do feel a loss of edge is coming at an awkward time. Vegeta's very excited about AOP. Joey says, were AOP plans put on hold once Vince got back into creative? Nope, to my knowledge, AOP were not directly involved at that time. Ken Thompson says, I see you got Cherry Coke. Yes, I did. Tell you what else I've got. 16 likes. 52 people are currently watching and we have 16 likes. I'd really appreciate it if you're watching now. If you'd give me a thumbs up to help boost those numbers higher and to get more people into the room. This is likely to be a bit of a quiet one. I'm absolutely fine with that. But I would appreciate if you're able to hit the thumbs up button. And if you haven't done so yet, please hit subscribe. Spiderboss says, Fightful lately confirmed your reports about Mercedes money going to AEW and AOP in talks with WWE. Yep. Fightful are confirming a lot of my reports recently. A lot of my reports. King Azza says, do you see Cody getting booed if he beats Roman like what happened with Seth when he beat Brock in 2019? No. Mark says, I'm late, just catching up. Hope you had a good week. I did, thank you, Mark. Welcome to the show. Raymond says, Dom is one of those superstars who doesn't need a big push all the time. The crowds boo them on their own, and that is exactly what happens. Thank you, Pete. Appreciate that. FDR dropping the spoiler warning thumbs ups. Ken says, I said Odyssey Joan would never get on TV when he went to Raw, and that has been proven true. Joey says, WrestleVotes reported John Cena may be hosting Backlash. If that's true, are they setting Cena up for a feud with someone? As I say, over the next 2 months, there'll be plenty of John Cena wrestling plenty of people. Sean says, according to Sports Illustrated, CM Punk and Jack Perry were suspended by AEW. Didn't know SI had sources in the wrestling world. They do. They actually have quite considerable sources. Particularly WWE tends to use them when they want information to get out there. So I would question who initially reported this to them. Gotcha, Joey. Gotcha. Alex says, hey, Tom, if you watched Impact Wrestling last night, I did not. Third match I want to talk about, LA Knight versus The Miz. Now, we shouldn't be too surprised that this is happening. LA Knight has been moved over to Raw because they didn't have anything particular in place for him on SmackDown. When I initially talked about the fact that there were plans for LA Knight immediately after SummerSlam, this is a segment that I was talking about, his work with The Miz. This essentially is a way between Raw and SmackDown to keep him on TV and to make sure he gets a solid push out of it. They didn't have plans or time on SmackDown, so they've made time on Raw, where there's 3 hours to use by kicking someone a little bit further down the way. The Miz seems to me to be the perfect partner, the perfect foil for LA Knight, and I am very excited about this prospect because it seems almost guaranteed that LA Knight's going to be the one to pick up the win here. Who do people have between LA Knight and The Miz to win this match at Payback? Spider-Boss says LA Knight winning clean. Bailey says Payback pick is yeah. Wiggly says what's happening with Asuka? Nothing. Nothing's happening with Asuka. She lost the championship, and at the moment she's further down the card while they make you forget about her before she steps up to Io Sky once again. Vegeta says, actual question, did they secretly move Cody permanently to SmackDown? No. King Azza says, what's your favourite John Cena match, Tom? Mine is AJ versus John Cena at the Royal Rumble in 2017. That is also mine. I'm a big AJ Styles guy, what can I say? Richard Martinez says, hello Tom, any updates on Edge? Nothing that I haven't already reported. There is a deal in place on offer for Edge. He has not signed it. Razar says, no one has signed and returned to the main roster this year except Chelsea Green. She's the only one and she was signed last year. However, there are still plenty of people being re-signed. That doesn't necessarily mean that AOP can't be signed in future. As I've reported on a number of occasions, the purse strings have been tightened, but not entirely cut off. There is no hiring freeze in the WWE. I repeat, there is no hiring freeze in the WWE. Richard says, hello Tom, any chance of the EODO match announced for Payback tonight? Very unlikely, not impossible. Joey said, is the Cody and Grayson Waller segment at Payback going to set up a new story for Cody? It'll be an evolution of the character. Wiggly has LA Knight to win. Daz also has LA Knight. Brad Becker says LA Knight, yeah. Ed, providing clarity on Sports Illustrated, said Justin Barraza is a high-level guy who gets incredibly verified information from WWE. He has his misses too, but like TMZ and ESPN, Sports Illustrated gets lots of information directly from WWE PR, which is 100% correct. Jack Roman has LA Knight. Raymond has LA Knight as well and also says, yeah. Zane thinks LA Knight. Matthew Johnson says LA Knight, but the Miz promo on Monday was classic. Marcel has LA Knight. King Azza says Miz. As to as I upset, I want to see how the fans react. It will be fun. Khalid has got LA Knight. Spider-Boss says, any plans for the USA title? It's being defended at Payback. And also says, did WWE move Cody to SmackDown? No. Vijit says, whose game is it? What game? What game? Joey says, PWInsider reported Brian Pillman Jr. signed with WWE, will be starting at NXT this week. PWInsider basically have eyes on the Performance Center. They know who turns up, so it seems very likely. Callie, welcome. Says, evening, Tom. Just got back from Blackpool. Lovely 6.5 hour drive back to Cardiff, missing Blackpool already. Why? I live in Blackpool. It's not worth it. Coop43 says, according to Wrestling Observer, many people in the WWE think Edge is going to AEW. Have you heard anything about that? That's a nothing report. What's being reported is that, certain people who I talk to think Edge might be going somewhere else. It's an opinion. It's not a report. Vegeta quite rightly saying, funny thing about Edge is that everyone thinks they know what he's doing. Edge himself confirmed what I reported, that there is a contract offer in his inbox from WWE and he hasn't signed it. Spider-Boss says, I just hope Ria Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez lasts more than 5 minutes. With only 6 matches on the card, that seems guaranteed. The United States Championship match takes place between Rey Mysterio and Austin Theory, and I see a title change happening here. I think Austin Theory regains the championship because of Santos Escobar to create a new opportunity for Escobar a little further down the way. Rey Mysterio essentially is a journeyman at this point. He's in a similar position to The Miz of helping other people out without getting too many wins. I think Austin Theory would be perfect to beat him here, reclaim the championship, and go on to take on Santos Escobar. Who do you have between Rey Mysterio and Austin Theory? Let me know in the chat right now. Ed says, funny thing about Edge, everyone thinks they know him, which based on his old theme music is unlikely. Well, on this day, I see clearly. Raymond says, LA Knight's game? Yeah. Calvin says, do you see Santos turning on Rey and Theory not covering him and attacking Santos? No, in no way, shape or form. Austin Theory is definitely the heel here, though I don't think it's impossible that we are building towards a triple threat of Rey Mysterio, Austin Theory and Santos Escobar, in which Santos Escobar pins Rey Mysterio to pick up the championship. Jack says, if Cody not going to SmackDown for good, how would he beat Roman for the title at WrestleMania 40 like a lot of people are saying? He wouldn't. As I reported after WrestleMania and after the draft, he wouldn't. If it happens, it'll be the Royal Rumble. I don't think that's the story. Joey says, do you think Edge is holding out for more money or is he taking a break from wrestling? I do not know. I don't know the man personally. Raymond says, Theory all the way. Daz has Rey to retain. Brad thinks Theory will be the one. Spider-Boss says, Rey Mysterio retains the USA title thanks to Santos Escobar, costing the match to Theory. Matthew says, Theory. Joey says, I hope they're not going to break up the LWO already. More on that later. Sean says, what do you think about Ricky Steamboat wrestling at 70 years old against Ricky Starks at All In? I wouldn't do it. Jack says Theory. King Azza says Theory. Khalid goes Austin Theory. Noob thinks Rey Mysterio is winning. Wiggly says, what's Xia Li protecting these days? Her career? Just sort of wishful thinking a little bit on her part, but you know, you do what you can. Let's just catch up. Rosar says Rey retains. Zane says, will we ever see Ezekiel? I don't think we will. Marcel says Rey as well. Hector says, afternoon, Tom. In your opinion, when do you see them pushing towards Roman and Solo? It's already September, come tomorrow, and we don't really have much yet. We have had plenty, but it's been very small moments between the two of them, showing that Roman's actually a little bit scared of Solo. Personally, I'm 100% going WrestleMania for that one, with Solo winning the Royal Rumble. Another reason I don't think Cody's going to be the one. 2 matches left to cover from Payback. Firstly, for the Women's World Championship or the Women's Universal, one of them, Ria Ripley defends her championship against Raquel Rodriguez, and this is a slam dunk if ever there's been a slam dunk. I can just say with absolute confidence that there is absolutely no chance that Raquel Rodriguez becomes women's champion at the end of Payback. Ria Ripley to retain. That's as far as I want to go on that one. Nothing else to say. Please do tell me in the chat whether you think Ria Ripley or Raquel Rodriguez will pick up the win. Bailey says we never saw Elrod. True. Ken says give the stream a like, and please do. We have 26 likes and 56 viewers. Please do give that a thumbs up. When I did mention earlier about likes, we went up from 59 viewers to 63 viewers, which tells you everything you need to know about the value of hitting that thumbs up. Spider-Boss says Ria Ripley retaining her title with the help of Dominic Mysterio. Razar says there are plans for Santos to go back to being a heel. Legado del Fantasma had so much more edge than the LWO. More on that shortly. Brad says Rhea, full confidence. King Az says Rhea beats her clean. Raymond has Rhea. Marcel has Rhea. Callie has Rhea. Daz has Rhea to retain. Matthew says Rhea all the way. Kelly says I've got Rhea Ripley to retain. Razar saying Rhea. There's nobody taking that title from her till she faces Becky or Bianca. And Jack says Rhea don't see anybody beating her. Sean, I've already covered Becky versus Trish. By all means, just hit the rewind and you'll find it. Bailey says Rhea wins in less than 4 minutes. Unfortunate, but another squash. As I go into the next one, that's a fair point that's been raised by Bailey there. Let's ask that question of the group. How long do you think the match will be between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez? I'm going to go 13 minutes. I'm going to go 13 minutes for the match between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. Answers in the chat how long you expect the match to last. And of course with this I get to the main event, Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura. A great opportunity for Shinsuke and an opportunity for Seth Rollins to get some wins under his belt as he becomes even more of a fighting champion. I don't think Nakamura has a chance here, but I'm excited to see where they go. I also think it's certainly possible that this is a night for Damian Priest. But let's not pretend that I didn't think that was going to happen at SummerSlam as well. So, Seth Rollins to retain, clean, Damian Priest to get involved. We have plenty of people giving the over-under on the Rhea Ripley Raquel Rodriguez match. While doing that, please let me know if you think Seth Rollins or Shinsuke Nakamura will be winning their match. Jack says 18 minutes, Wiggly says 14 minutes and 22 seconds. King Azza says 5 minutes. Sean says 15, Daz saying 10 minutes. Brad is going for 11 minutes and 35 seconds. Matthew going a bit wider, says less than 10. Raquel will get a few spots, but Rhea will dominate. Noob says 10 minutes. Spider-Boss says the thing with Rhea Ripley's title reign is she hasn't had big names to challenge her. Her matches have been squash matches. Bailey says Seth wins, Damien cashes in to end the show, and Spider-Boss says Seth Rollins wins. Marcel thinks the match will be 50 seconds. Raymond says I think Rhea and Raquel will go under 10 minutes but hard hitting. And here we go with the Seth or Nakamura. Daz says Seth to retain. Raymond saying Seth. Marcel saying Seth. Matthew saying Seth. Khalid says I've got Seth. Rollins retaining. King Ali says Seth wins with a DQ win. Razar says Seth retains. Ken says share the stream on social media. Not right now, I'm hosting. Will says when WWE teased Bianca versus Rhea almost a year ago, WWE holding that off until WrestleMania 41 because they want to do Rhea versus Becky at WrestleMania 40. Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of where I am with it. Makes the most sense. Wiggly says I think Priest hits Rollins with a case. Nakamura wins, then Priest cashes in. I don't see any reason for Nakamura to win and have his own championship reign, and probably the only one he'll get, last less than 10 seconds. Spider-Boss thinks Rhea versus Raquel will last less than 10 minutes. Joey says, do you think JD McDonough gets involved with a tag match and gets Damian Priest kicked out? Yes, no. Jack says Seth to pick up the win. Ken says 10 minutes. Khalid says 13. Noob says Seth Rollins winning, but I do like this heel version of Nakamura better than his last heel run. Jason, how you doing, mate? Been a little while. Says happy Friday, Tom and chat. Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Ken says, will there be any returns or debuts at Payback? John Cena, mate. Although you won't see him. So that's where we are with WWE Payback. We've now got a little bit to talk about for All In before we get to the rest of our headlines. So to just read out the rest of the headlines, we're giving an update on the year of Judgment Day, Dakota Kai and where she is when it comes to being cleared, the disruption to plans for the New Day, Drew McIntyre being pushed down the card, LA Knight swapping sides, the breakdown of the LWO, and why Kairi Sane has not yet debuted. Sean has asked, how long do you think Saraya will reign as champion until Mercedes Money is ready to take the championship from her? Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay is earning rave reviews, particularly from people backstage at All In, and is considered one of the best matches they put on at the show, though it is second to the main event. All In is being heralded by most people backstage in AEW, particularly Tony Khan, but they are very much distractions actively ongoing, which are causing a lot of unhappiness in the AEW locker room, particularly CM Punk, who will not feature at AEW All Out and was not planned to feature from about 5 minutes after he left Wembley at All In. There is unfortunately a lot of disappointment as regards the All Out card that they were able to put together. There were a number of people unfortunately currently suffering with pandemic-related illness. There is a new strain out there, please do be careful and wear your mask if you need to. And that is causing some disruption. Samoa Joe did not get the match he was looking for, but they're still hoping to put on a good show. Spider-Boss says, I don't get why Rhea's matches last only a few minutes. She wrestled less time than Brock Lesnar because they're trying to make her a fighting champion, but also one who destroys people. Wiggly is still gutted for Shida. Yeah, they didn't give her much, did they? Raymond says, does the Seth Nakamura feud go beyond Payback? Personally, I don't think it does. Dad says, do you think Darby beats Christian without Sting or Luchasaurus interfering? Well, it's going to be Darby versus Luchasaurus, isn't it? Zane says, Drew will go to AEW. Not sure on that one. Joey says, do you think Xavier Woods will miss a lot of time? More on that shortly. And Spider-Boss says, I don't get why Chris Jericho is still having Sammy Guevara on his side, because they're teammates and he believes in him. I should point out there is such a thing as a friend. Rizal says, I can see Priest cashing in and leaving Finn as the only member without a title. Zane says, Will Ospreay will be at Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory and Turning Point. Juana Roscoe says, hey Tom, when do you predict Mercedes Money debuts for AEW? I'm going to give you the only answer anyone with any sort of decency will give you: once she's cleared. So let's get to the thick of it. We start with an update on the year of Judgment Day, and at the moment the amount of main events of Monday Night Raw that Judgment Day have been getting is proof in the pudding of what I've already reported. Judgment Day are the number one faction on Monday Night Raw. Judgment Day at the moment are in a position where there is a breakup starting to happen. However, Judgment Day itself is not likely to go by the wayside completely. Judgment Day will lose a member or two, but will still be fighting fit going forwards. Judgment Day is not going to end. Judgment Day's year has been extremely successful so far, not just in terms of Ria Ripley, but also in terms of Finn Balor getting championship opportunities, Dominic Mysterio also holding championships, and now the tag team championship opportunity that has come their way. The year of Judgment Day continues apace, and ain't no one derailing it. Spider-Boss says, watching Drew McIntyre since the return makes me think the only chance of seeing him winning the title is if he re-signs with WWE anytime soon. You may have noticed that I reported that when I reported that he was going to be returning and wrestling Gunter at SummerSlam. Zane says, when will Jey Uso return to SmackDown? When the storyline requests him to. Spider-Boss says, somehow I see JD McDonough joining Judgment Day. The somehow might be because they've constantly teased JD McDonough joining Judgment Day. Like, they're making you think that very obviously. But yeah, somehow you see. Dakota Kai is not yet cleared to return to action, which is why she's been involved, but not physically involved in work with Damage Control. Damage Control at the moment are still a unit and will be continuing to protect the current champion Io Sky. Bayley's position is essentially to help elevate. Dakota Kai, it is believed that she'll be cleared within a month or two and will be back to wrestling in very short order. We will be seeing her wrestling in a very short space of time. The New Day, unfortunately, are not going to be wrestling too much in the near future either. Xavier Woods has now picked up an injury which will keep him out of action for another couple of months. Big E, of course, as we know, is not yet cleared, though he is starting to work out, and he has been taking some time to make appearances at WWE shows. A lot of backstage stuff and a lot of work, naturally, with up, up, down, down. Big E has been spending a lot of time at WWE premises recently. He has been working out at the gyms. The assessments, however, are not going too well at the moment. They are taking time. They are not going to rush him, and I'm not blaming anyone for that. Kofi Kingston is cleared and ready to wrestle, but there are no storyline plans for him at the moment because the intention was to have them wrestle against Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle. And speaking of Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle, this particular tag team pairing is to kill time. There are no plans for a strong push for Matt Riddle. The New Day are not currently in the tag team scene and need to be rebuilt. And there is also Drew McIntyre, who, as I previously mentioned back in May, if he doesn't sign a new deal with the WWE, he will be pushed further down the card. He's a body, he's over, and the plans essentially are to have him stay in the tag division until around about the time we see Randy Orton return. Brad says, how will Dominic and Rhea's storyline end? Well, they haven't booked it yet. Spider-Boss says it's amazing how good is the SmackDown Women's Division while the Raw Women's Division struggling to get TV time. Not true of Becky or Trish, not true of Ria Ripley. That said, beyond that, you're not seeing many of them, are you? Then he says, why does WWE change wrestler names when they get called up to the main roster? Sometimes it's copyright related. Main roster, you're going to be a big star. You're going to have some issues with sponsorships and the like as well. Sometimes it's just because they don't trust their fans to remember people's names. Sean says, what did you think of the Falls Count Anywhere match at the closed Raw? Thought it was great, really quite enjoyed it. Sean says, Becky paid tribute to Bray after the show went off air, and in fact, on the air for some of it. Spider-Boss says, without Drew in the title picture, who do you think will take the IC title from Gunter? I still think that's going to be Drew McIntyre. Razar says, the Xavier injury is real. I thought it was fake with how WWE announced it. Oh yeah, he got hurt. Carnage is excited for Payback. Michael Winston says, any Bobby Lashley news? Bobby Lashley's job right now is to get the Street Profits booed. Good luck to him. LA Knight, as I did mention earlier, has been briefly moved from SmackDown to Raw. He's not permanently moved to Raw. He will be going back after the feud with The Miz, but they were trying to get more attention onto him and trying to ensure a strong push for him. They were not able to do so on SmackDown, so he has been temporarily moved across to Raw. Temple, how you doing, mate? Says, All In Wembley was great to see. Live show was fantastic, but I wouldn't have booked All Out in Chicago just a week later. Suggests that All In should be August and All Out should be October, so stories can breathe. Vegeta is sure Drew will sign. I'm sure he'll sign for someone. Brad says, where's MVP been? Working with Omos. Daniela says, Tom, did you know the Creed brothers are reinstated in NXT? No, but I don't really pay that much attention to it, to be honest. Sean says, surprised Zoe wasn't injured when Trish threw that chair at her. That was good acting there. Razar says, Dakota Kai returning that fast is crazy. ACL injuries take a long time to recover. Yeah, they expect to have her back in a couple of months. Honestly, it's very impressive. She's back, she's training, she's moving around. There's no long-term issues. She should be back and wrestling in no time. Spider-Boss says, who do you see taking the NXT Women's title from Tiffany? I've absolutely no idea. Spider-Boss. Wiggly says, do you think AEW might return to the UK for an arena show or house show before All In 2024? I know you do. How do you think WWE will respond? As regards to UK shows, the WWE will continue to have one a year and they will go to the highest bidder. That's how it's going to be. Carnage says, do you think Kevin and Sami will retain the titles? I've already covered that one. If you want to zip back, you'll find all of my predictions. Vegeta, they didn't promise to not really change names anymore. Names will still be changed. No, nobody made that promise. Two more things to cover. Firstly, the LWO. The tension is being actively teased between Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio. And also a big tell on this one is Zelina Vega being featured more often. Now, when it comes to Zelina Vega, they are pushing her at the moment, or at least featuring her regularly, because the LWO plans are being put together to shut it down. The LWO will be broken up within the next few months. Rey Mysterio will be taking some time off, and Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar, the debates that they are having, will be remembered as the reason that Santos Escobar went to the dark side once again. Brad says, will they give Raquel the belt? Once again, all my predictions are already done. Just rewind and you will find it. Razar, I don't have time for NXT. I don't have time. I dedicate the time I do to this job, but I work two full-time jobs, so it's not going to happen. Spider-Boss says, do you see Becky going to NXT? Briefly, yes. Seth, after all, has done it previous. Joey says, PWInsider reported there were talks of having AOP go down to NXT. Was that always a plan? Again, I don't know on that one. I've reported what I've known about AOP, and I'm trying to get more information now. Hector says, Tom, what's your opinion on the Jacksonville Jaguars Championship belt being pulled from the WWE shop? I did discuss that one on Monday. I advise you to check it out. Bailey says, Tom, what do you see as the eventual breakup story for Damage Control? Bailey getting jealous of Io Sky and beating the ever-living crap out of her. Carnage says, who is Dominic Mysterio facing a Payback? He's not. KJ says, what's up, Tom? Sorry I missed Monday. How was All In Wembley? No need to be sorry, mate. And it was absolutely fantastic. Genuinely loved every second of it. Ken, disagree. Last thing then, Kairi Sane, who has been signed to the WWE, and we're just waiting for her to get a storyline and for creative to catch up before she will then return and officially re-debut. From what I can tell, it will be involving Io Sky and Asuka, so we're waiting for Asuka to return from a brief break, at which point we may well still get that triple threat match. HBK can't promise anything Vegeta. He is not in charge of the WWE. No, Ken, I did not get an all-in chair. So, that is all of the news that I have. We are 42 minutes into the show. It's been quite an intimate one. I'm very happy with that. We will, of course, be live again for SmackDown in just over 2 hours, and I advise you to stick around for that. And we will be live tomorrow for WWE Payback, so be sure to check that out as well. But in the meantime, as always, I will choose this point to say that I've been Tom Colohue, you have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.